What's up, fighting fans? Tibz from the Fight IQ channel. Today we're coming back for another episode of the Fight IQ show. We are back for a weekend preview. This weekend is going to be busy with a lot of disciplines represented. And you know I like to please everybody. So I'm gonna pick 3 fights, one in MMA, one in kickboxing, one in boxing, that you shouldn't miss. Then I also highlight some other good stuff. So let's get ready to rumble! On my menu there will be MVP Prospects 9 in Puerto Rico on Friday 11th, Lux Fight League 46 in Tampico, Mexico on Friday 11th, Octagon 62 in Frankfurt, Germany on Saturday 12th, the Beterbiev vs Bivol boxing card in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Saturday 12th, Glory 96 in Rotterdam, Netherlands on Saturday 12th, and the UFC Fight Night in Vegas on Saturday 12th. Number 3, I picked Brandon Royval vs Tatsuro Taira. It's the main event of the UFC Fight Night in Vegas on Saturday 12th. A MMA shock with the potential to shake the whole flyweight division. Royval is still number 1 contender and will try to keep his spot in order to get to the belt once again, while Taira is on the rise, ranked number 5 and clearly aiming at a title shot. Royval is 32 years old, 16-7, 13 finishes. Road Dogg is a former LFA flyweight champion, which he got in November of 2019 after submitting Nate Williams in only 23 seconds. He signed with the UFC next, making his debut in May of 2020 versus the veteran Tim Elliott and getting the win via submission in the second round. Since then, he's 5-3 inside the organization. He got a submission win over Kai Kara France back in September of 2020, back-to-back losses versus Brandon Moreno and Alexandre Pantoja, but he came back strong, 3 wins in a row between January of 2022 and April of 2023, where he beat Rogerio Bontorin, Matt Snell via submission and Mateus Nicolau via KO. That led him to a title shot and a revenge versus Alexandre Pantoja. It was last December, and after 5 rounds, Pantoja won once again via unanimous decision, but Royval showed that he was part of the best flyweight in the world. His last fight was last February, where he avenged the loss versus Brandon Moreno, winning via split decision. He has now the hard task to face an undefeated prospect coming for his spot, Tatsuro Taira. The Japanese is only 24 years old and has a record of 16-0 with 12 finishes. He started his pro career in 2018 at only 18 years old, and he dominated the Japanese scene until the end of 2021, piling up 10 wins and 8 finishes. The UFC couldn't let this guy go somewhere else, and Taira made his debut in May of 2022, winning via unanimous decision versus Carlos Candelario. Since then, 5 other UFC fights, 4 finishes, facing each time a tougher opponent. He submitted CJ Vergara and Jesus Aguilar, dominated Edgar Chairez, KO'd Carlos Hernandez, and more recently he beat Alex Perez, provoking a knee injury against the veteran last June. He has now the opportunity to seize that number 1 contender spot if he beats Royval. Taira is a moderate favorite for this one. I think it's due to Royval toughness, who fought the best flyweights on the planet. Personally, I see Taira winning that fight. He's so fast, so skilled in every compartment of the game. Royval has a good submission game, but I don't think he's better than Taira in that area, and the KO power from the Japanese is real. Despite his lack of experience in a 5 rounds fight, I expect a KO from Taira around the 3rd round. Royval is really good, but he let some openings in his guard, and with Taira's speed and power, that will cost him. So Tatsuro Taira in a spectacular fashion and going for a title shot next. Number 2, Chico Kwasi vs Tijani Beztati, main event of the Glory 96 in Rotterdam on Saturday 12th. Welterweight title on the line. A great battle with the cream of European kickboxing. Beztati has the opportunity to become a champion in a 2nd weight class, while Chico Kwasi will have to show he deserves his title. Let's start with the defending champ. Chico Kwasi is 26 years old, 48 kickboxing fights, 43-5, 23 by way of knockouts. He started his pro career at only 17 years old, competing first at King of Kings and reaching the finals of the Welterweight Grand Prix in March of 2015. He won the under 75 kg Spartacus Fighting Championship in 2017, the King of Kings Welterweight Grand Prix in 2019, King of Kings Welterweight title in 2021 and the Mega Fight Arena Welterweight title in 2022. So great resume for such a young fighter. Glory decided to add him to their roster and he made his debut in March of 2023, facing Stefan Orza at Glory 84 in Rotterdam. And he won in a spectacular fashion, knocking his opponent out with a beautiful knee to the body in the second round. Then he had to face two former foes, Robin Silic and Jay Overmeer, beating them both by a decision. Those performances gave him a title shot last April, where he faced Andy Semelier, then undefeated at Glory with 3 successful title defenses. And he shocked the world by defeating the champ via TKO in the second round, knocking him down 3 times in the same round. For his first title defense, he will have to face the Wonder Boy, Tijani Beztati. Beztati is also 26 years old, 32 kickboxing fights, 27-5, 9 wins by way of knockouts. Also started his pro career really young, at 16 years old in 2014 and as a lightweight. He joined Glory only 2 years later and did most of his career there. 20 fights, great wars versus Koprivlensky, City Shy, Josh Johnsey, Marat Grigorian, etc. etc. He won the vacant lightweight title after his 2 first unsuccessful attempts in 2021 against Elvis Gashi and defended it 4 times between May of 2022 and March of 2024, winning versus Josh Johnsey via TKO, Koprivlensky via decision, Petch via KO and Enrico Kell via unanimous decision last March. He then decided to move up to welterweight and to start a title run. The first on his road was Andy Semelier, the former champ who had just lost his title to Chico Kwasi. They met last July at Glory 93 and after 3 disputed rounds, Beztati got the win quite logically, proving he could also compete against the best in this weight class. He will now try to defeat the new champion Chico Kwasi. I like this matchup, they both have the same height, but Kwasi is more muscular and Beztati has longer limbs. Kwasi is more powerful and more aggressive in his style, so let's see how Beztati will respond to that. He is my favorite though, more technical, faster, good at managing the distance and with a good striking volume. I think it will be close, but if Beztati doesn't underestimate Kwasi, I expect him to win by a decision. And number 1, Arthur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol, main event of the boxing card with the same name in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Saturday 12th. 2 of the best boxers on the planet, undisputed light heavyweight title and 2 undefeated records on the line. I cannot believe we get to see those 2 monsters facing each other. Let's start with Beterbiev. He is 39 years old, 20-0, 20 wins by knockouts. He is in possession of the IBF, WBO and WBC World Light Heavyweight titles. He started his pro career quite late, at 28 years old in 2013, but has an impressive amateur resume. More than 100 fights, 85 wins, and quarter-finalist at the London Olympic Games in 2012, where he lost versus Alexander Usyk. As a pro, he became known as that unstoppable force, smothering his opponents with his pressure and aggressivity, and destroying them with devastating punches. He got his first world title shot in November of 2017, facing Enrico Cooling for his longest fight to date. Indeed, it took Beterbiev 12 rounds to knock him out and get the vacant IBF World Light Heavyweight title. Shout out to Cooling, cause it never happened again. He got rid of Callum Johnson and Radivoje Kalajdzic, respectively in the 4th and 5th round, before getting an opportunity to add a second belt to his waist. It was in October of 2019 and he faced then the undefeated Alexander Gvozdyk, knocking him out in the 10th round, becoming the WBC World Light Heavyweight Champion. The third belt came in June of 2022 when he destroyed Joe Smith Jr. in only 2 rounds to obtain the WBO World Light Heavyweight title. Since then, he made 2 defenses of his 3 titles against 2 excellent boxers, Anthony Yarde in January of 2023 and Callum Smith last January. He finished them both respectively in the 8th and 7th rounds, and he will now try to become the undisputed champion by facing Dmitry Bivol in a blockbuster fight. Bivol is 33 years old, 23-0, 12 wins by way of knockouts. A completely different style than his opponent, Bivol is a master of the Soviet style, which is based on the use of perfected fundamentals, a great footwork, distance management, precision and timing. Bivol has all of these qualities and has also a great volume of striking that completely overwhelms his opponent. Like a lot of Russian boxers, he has an impressive amateur resume, 87 wins, which made him more than ready to become a pro. He faced a lot of tough guys on his way up. Jean Pascal in November of 2018, Joe Smith Jr. in March of 2019, Craig Richards and Umar Salamov in 2021, Canelo Alvarez, who tried a run at light heavyweight, and Gilberto Ramirez in 2022, leading him finally to a title shot in December of 2023. He faced Lyndon Arthur for the IBO World Light Heavyweight title and dominated him during 12 rounds to get that belt. He was supposed to face Beterbiev directly after that, but Beterbiev got injured, so he faced Malik Zinad instead last June in Riyadh. It took Bivol 6 rounds to knock him out without forcing too much his talent. Now we have a really difficult fight to predict. Power and aggressivity versus smoothness and volume. I spent a lot of time trying to figure that one out, and I decided to pick one out of Bill Belichick's playbook for my NFL fans, which is defense wins titles. And Bivol has an amazing defense. I think his footwork and distance management, as well as his volume, will be the key to defeat Beterbiev. Because Beterbiev only knows one thing: attack and smash his opponent. But he does it with great IQ. He knows where to hit, he knows when and where he hurt you, and he knows when to pick up the pace. So it will be a hard and really disputed fight. I expect Bivol to come out victorious at the decision, weathering the storm thanks to his movement, his timing and precision, and becoming the undisputed World Light Heavyweight Champion. There are many fights and events worth your time this weekend. Octagon 62 is looking great. King of Germany belt as a main event. A sort of BMF title between Ekerlin and Jungwirth. It will be preceded by a middleweight title fight as a co-main between the champ Patrick Kinkel and Kerim Engisbek. Some of the nice fights on that card: Koga vs Racic at lightweight, Samsonidze vs Torres at featherweight, the undefeated prospect Max Holzer will fight Traversi, Dalisda vs Martin for the strawweight title, and also pay attention to Mohamed Mahayev, Afenina Fuka and Denis Ilbay. I can't wait to see that card. On the Beterbiev vs Bivol card, we have Wardley vs Clark for the British heavyweight title. I can't wait to see that rematch. Opetea will defend his IBF World Cruiserweight title versus Jack Massey. Sky Nicholson will defend a WBC World Female Featherweight title versus Raven Chapman, and we will also see the viral sensation Ben Whittaker and the experienced Chris Eubanks Jr. Some good fights at Glory 96, Ristov vs Siric in the prelims, Vosik vs Bobo Sacco, Boapea vs Tushasi, and of course Donovan Wisse will defend his middleweight title versus Sergey Braun. Some cool matchups at UFC Fight Night: Argueta vs Eden at bantamweight, Vergara vs Temirov at flyweight, Rodriguez vs Morono at welterweight, Grant Dawson vs Rafa Garcia at lightweight, and Brad Tavares vs Jong Yong Park at middleweight. If you want to hear about talented prospects with a great future, don't miss MVP Prospects 9. The excellent Jean-Paul Rivera will fight in the main event, Elijah Flores will be there as well, Cristal Rosado, so don't miss the future of boxing. Also interesting MMA prospects at Lux Fight League 46, strawweight title as a main event between Andrea Vasquez and Yasmin Navarrete. This one is really interesting, and I'll pay extra attention to Damien Fernandez, 3-0 at bantamweight, and Anwar Aburto, 6-1 at welterweight. One Friday Fights 83 on Friday for the Muay Thai and kickboxing lovers, probably already started when this video will come out. And a lot of great boxing fights in Japan on a double event, Sunday and Monday, 7 world title fights. Japan is really taking over in the lower weight classes. And we're done here. Now you know what to watch this weekend, guys. As usual, punch those like and subscribe buttons, it helps me a lot. I want to see you in the comments on Discord, Instagram, Telegram, whatever you're on. I'd like to see your picks and your thoughts on the coming matchups. Enjoy the fights, I'll see you next week.
Now they call me, I seen them. All of those times getting severed. I told them